Hello and welcome to After the Whistle. I am your host, Brian Dorrington, back after kind of a long layoff, not really. And I am here with, I didn't come up with a nickname. How about Marble? That came, Marble Mukala Kabongo.
Marble.
That's a good one.
That's a
I usually pre-plan it ahead of time, but I didn't, so that kind of just came to me and I like it.
Yeah, I mean.
That's not a bad one, right?
It's decent.
I've had worse.
It's decent.
I've had
it's
much
decent.
worse.
It's not one of your best ones, but it's
Isn't.
decent. It's
Okay,
not
next
too
time
bad.
we'll try to stay on top of
not
that.
too bad.
All right, well, let's just jump right into it. We all know what the headline's going to be this week. Kawhi Leonard. I will yield the floor to you since you hate Canada and you hate the Raptors, so I will let you just lay it all out there. And this might take all show.
Can you imagine an organization being so mad at you that they deport you?
Is that an original line?
They legitimately.
Did you just
I found it on Twitter.
Oh, okay. That's good. That's
they legitimately deported him.
I like it.
It's an interesting move. He didn't want to be there. The asking that the Spurs were asking other teams that were interested, the Sixers, the Lakers, even the Celtics had some interest, but they were. The assets that they wanted, those teams wouldn't give up. I don't know why the Sixers didn't give up Markelle Fultz.
He can't even shoot.
We don't even know if he could play.
Yeah.
So the Sixers, it would have been smart for them to move Markelle Fultz and maybe another player.
It's good for us they didn't.
Good for us, but missed opportunity for the Sixers because I think if they had made the move for him, they might have. It's right now the Eastern Conference is Celtics and Sixers. Mm-hmm. If the Sixers made that move, it'd have been a tight race for that Eastern Conference.
But then you got. I mean, he was a first overall selection. It would be very tough for a team to get rid of a guy and then have him become the player that all the teams thought he would be prior to next year. I mean, sometimes it takes guys a little bit of time. So I can see why they're hesitant. I agree with you that they should have tried. Put him on the table.
They should have. But the Raptors, they got a little better. I think DeMar DeRozan, they've had 9 seasons of him. Him and Kyle Lowry in the playoffs, they crumble. They crumble. We've seen it time and time again. So.
Okay, can we stop there and just talk about DeMar real quick and about the loyalty factor, though? Does that have any effect on you?
No.
Because it's so hard to get superstars to commit to stay and play in Toronto, and he was that one guy that was going to be drafted and stay in Toronto, and he said, I want to be there. When he hit the free agent market, he could have went other places. Yeah. And people don't want to play in Toronto because it's Canada. I mean, I don't hate Canada. You hate Canada. But seriously, there's no part of you that thinks that, DeRozan got a little bit shafted here.
This is the name of the game. This is sports for you. There's no loyalty with these teams. He should know. He saw what happened to Isaiah Thomas. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he thought they'd be loyal to him. This happened to a whole lot of players, franchise players too. They've all been shipped away. So there's no loyalty in sports, especially NBA. There's definitely no loyalty. So I can understand why he's upset, but he should see this coming because everyone's expendable unless your name's LeBron James. You're not expendable, but everyone is expendable, especially if you're not bringing titles. Mm-hmm. If you're not bringing titles, you're expendable. And we've seen it, the Raptors, the past 5 seasons, people have said that this is a championship team, and then they come to the playoffs, and then, blam, what happens? But what the Raptors get, they get a former NBA Finals MVP. They get a former Defensive Player of the Year. We get a perennial All-Pro player.
It's a mouthful.
And a guy, last season, he only played 9 games with whatever was going on last season. So
they get him for a year.
They get him for a year.
Maybe.
If they were smart, they'd find maybe another trade.
And who says, I would ship him right out to LA as soon as I can. No better time than the present. Hedge him against the Clippers. Because there's no way he's going to give 100%. Even if he's on the field. I mean, I know he's a competitor, but
maybe he will because
I don't know.
No, because he's going to be a free agent. Maybe he will just to show everybody.
The Lakers don't care. The Lakers don't care.
Well,
it's a big risk for Toronto. I think that it was a terrible decision. Let's talk about.
But Danny Green that's a solid pickup because there's a guy that could knock down threes. That's one of their faults too. They don't really have 3-point shooters.
Okay. So now, how does this shape the landscape in the East?
Oh, Celtics, Sixers. We're going into this NBA season. It's going to be the Celtics, Sixers.
Do we have Celtics, Sixers, Toronto at least? Are you going to give them that?
Celtics, Sixers. You could focus on whoever the other 6 playoff teams is going to be, but it's going to be the Celtics and Sixers. These are the 2 best teams so far that I'm seeing. And the Celtics, they just re-signed Marcus Smart, so they got everybody coming back, and they have the 2 players.
I can't believe you just mentioned that in like a positive note.
Well, I mean, if you have your core team coming back, that's always a positive for the team. So they have their starters coming back. They have solidified their role players. So the Celtics and Sixers, I think those are going to be the 2 teams we're going to be watching in the Eastern Conference, because I don't see no other team in the East. The Wizards, we've seen what they are. The Bulls, the Pistons,
Pacers,
The Wizards signed Dwight Howard, the locker room cancer. The Pacers, they'll be a little better, but I don't think they're there yet. And who else do we got? The Bucks? No.
Well, they may have the best player, one of the best players in the East. Well, okay, so now let's talk about the other side of this. What does this do for the Spurs? See, I think this was a genius move from the Spurs. This got personal. Popovich, you're right. He said, you know what? I'm going to send you to the furthest place. I didn't think of it. I wish I thought of the deported line. But he said, I'm going to send you to the furthest place from LA that you can get to. And it was, they got an all-star in return. They were going to get nothing had they let him walk to the end of the year. This is the best that you can get. And you get a protected first-round pick and a center whose name neither of us can pronounce.
We can't pronounce. He's a big guy, too. He's only 22, so.
He's young.
And if you've seen the Spurs franchise, they have this knack of developing young players, especially centers. So if the guy has the skill set of being one of those centers that can pass and, just can work off the pick and roll, he'll be perfect fit for the Spurs. Also, the Spurs got Tony Parker. They lost him to free agency, so they needed somebody else in the backcourt. The only problem with DeMar DeRozan, he's not a three-point shooter. He's a mid-range player.
Well, he has improved his three-point shooting.
Yeah, but he doesn't take that many. He probably takes like 3. So the Spurs, maybe they'll have some other players around for that. But this is we've seen them. They're always in the hunt. They're always in the playoffs. So this helps. This helps them. Will it get them past Golden State? No, but it'll make them competitive.
But you and I were just having this conversation off the air. You'd think that them having Kawhi Leonard would have made them a finals contender in the West, even with Houston and in Golden State and the Lakers?
Yes.
Okay, but now having him in Toronto does not make him a competitor, does not make the Raptors a competitor in the East? You're talking about the same player in a weaker...
Your surroundings.
This is just a regional thing with you.
No,
it's not even about who's on the court.
It's your surroundings. It's who you're playing with and who's your coach. The Raptors upgraded their coach, the assistant coach. Is he going to be much different from the head coach? No. So it's your surroundings.
That's true too. The coach is a big part of it. So let's make a prediction here. I don't think that Kawhi Leonard finishes the season with the Raptors. What do you think?
I think he finishes the season with the Raptors, and then he's off to LA.
Okay.
And he's going homecoming.
I think that it's universally agreed that he's not going to stay in Toronto.
No.
He's not going to stay.
And Vince Carter didn't want to stay there. Tracy McGrady didn't want to stay there.
You had one guy who wanted to stay, and he's gone.
Chris Bosh didn't want to stay there. Yes. I mean, the people, they just don't want to stay there. It's a nice place to visit, I've heard, but as far as staying, no.
Move him to Seattle or something.
Bring a team back to Seattle.
Bring a team back to Seattle. That would make sense.
A lot of people trying. So, speaking of Seattle, a Seattle native, Isaiah Thomas, he signed a 1-year deal for $2 million, the veterans minimum with the Nuggets. How far has he fallen? His stock has fallen because this was a player. He was due for a big payday. Coming off a season where he was in the conversation for MVP.
He got legit MVP votes. He wasn't just in the conversation.
He averaged 29 points per game, and then the hip injury and everything.
It was emotional with him as well. He like DeMar DeRozan, felt really taken aback, and it really.
And I could understand for him.
Some guys, it hurts them at their core, and it's a mental thing, and they might not be covered. But then getting traded again from Cleveland, it's just. But this is his opportunity because Denver is a young team. They're a good team. I don't know if he's going to start, but he's got the opportunity. Even if he maybe not at the
he's
beginning
gonna come
of
off
the
the
year.
bench because they got 2 solid
They do.
guards.
But this is his chance to prove that he can be, that he can do a big payday next year. So it's a low risk, high reward for both parties. I believe. I believe this works for both parties.
And Denver was 1 game from. They almost made the playoff. They had to play the last game of the season. It was with the Timberwolves. That was basically a playoff game. A playoff. Whoever wins gets in the playoffs. So they were knocking on the door of the playoffs. And I think adding Isaiah Thomas helped. And especially he could come off the bench and he could do what he does and just score the basketball because that's the best thing for him when he comes off the bench. They already have 2 guards that can get their own shots, that can score. So this just adds more to that, and I think it's a good fit. I want to see how it works out for him. It's a good fit for him.
Yeah, and I still like the guy.
Yeah,
I always would have liked to see him come back as a Celtic.
It would have been great to see him back in the Celtics. But
just off the bench.
Speaking of other players, Carmelo Anthony, other players, how the mighty have fallen. Carmelo Anthony.
He hasn't fallen in his mind,
The Thunder released him.
In his mind, he's still the best player in the NBA, I think.
Yeah, the Thunder released him after he opted into his $27 million deal, which is smart because he knows how to count, and I'm not turning away $27 million. But there were some implications with that. The Thunder, they had no choice but to release him because I was reading here, by releasing Melo, it eliminates $107 million of teams' 2018-2019 payroll and tax bill. With Melo, there would have been $310 million in the payroll,
which is the highest ever of any NBA team. I believe.
So that they saved a lot of money by getting rid of it, by releasing him, which is smart. But now Carmelo, where's he going to go? So far, there's been some interest. The teams people are saying the Rockets, Lakers, and Heat, but now I've heard.
I'm hearing Atlanta.
Yeah, I was about to say that Atlanta is interested in him. If I'm him, I would not sign with Atlanta because why? You're at this stage in your career. You want a championship. You need to go to a team that's going. That best helps you try to get a chance at that championship.
But he might have to come off the bench in some other places.
Hey,
in Atlanta, he could start. They had an interview with him just last season. They asked, about coming off the bench, and he laughed and said, "Me coming off the bench."
But who was he?
His ego was not going to come off the bench.
But who would start in place of him that last season? That's also probably why. Like, who would they put in the starting lineup in place
for which team?
When he
was
was in Oklahoma?
Yeah, sure, I know, but I just think ego-wise, a lot of these places that they're talking about, he'd have to come off the bench.
If I was him, I'd take a good look at the Rockets. The Rockets I don't know if the Lakers have enough space for him, but I'd take a good look at the Rockets. That'd be the best fit for him, the Rockets. They say him and D'Antoni had some friction because of years.
Well, they were.
Yeah.
Didn't he try to get him fired in New York? Didn't he actually get him fired in New York?
Yeah,
I
think D'Antoni was his quote on saying that Carmelo made him want to quit coaching or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So there might be a little bit of.
I think that more has to do with the New York Knicks culture. That just the Knicks in general. That's just the Knicks. The terribleness of that organization just seeped through everybody, and nobody was happy. So
he would be the perfect player that if he's willing to take a back seat and come off the bench, any of these contenders would want him.
Definitely.
The Celtics would want him. The Sixers would want him. If he's willing to take on that role.
I would look at the Sixers too. That come off the bench for the Sixers.
Get your ring.
And I'm sure if he'd come off the bench, he'd probably finish games too, because you come off the bench, you're just in a rhythm, you're getting more points, and you're just much more in the rhythm, and they'll probably have you finish the game.
Sure. And it's not like he's coming off the bench and not getting paid.
Yeah.
He's still getting paid.
He's still getting paid. So
he's got some thinking to do.
Yeah, he definitely does. And then, other NBA news, we got Jimmy Butler turned down a 4-year, $100 million extension from the Timberwolves because he
doesn't like his players.
Pretty much, he don't like Karl Anthony Towns. He don't like Andrew Wiggins. I think he says they don't. I think he says something in the nature of they don't take it serious. They don't take the game seriously, or they don't work out. Something like that. And he's still out there. This is a guy I wanted the Celtics to get a year ago to trade for him. This guy, well, now the Celtics don't. They have enough players, but this guy, any contending team that picks him up, this is going to be a solid pickup because he's a guy that can play defense and he's a guy that can get his own shot, create for others. He's just a solid all-around basketball player, and I think that some teams should seriously looking at him. Even the Lakers, they should look at trying to sign him if they want to make that leave to try to dethrone Golden State this year. Now that they got LeBron, they should take a serious look at him.
Well,
I got a few teams in mind.
He and Kyrie have both said that they would like to play with each other.
Yep.
Apparently, they're friends. And, if you read these rumor mills things, they're both going to be free agents next year. The Knicks, people are saying, could you see Kyrie and Jimmy Butler playing the Knicks? I don't know. Who knows? I predicted LeBron to the Lakers. I would hope Kyrie stays in Boston, but they have both said publicly that they would like to play together.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler, is he getting up there in age?
I think he's like in his late 20s.
He's in his late 20s?
Yeah,
okay.
Mid to late
he's been around for a while.
mid to late 20s. And this is the first time he's turned down a contract, too. A couple years ago for the Bulls, he turned down a 4-year, $44 million contract. And then he ended up signing a $90 million contract the previous season. So this is a guy who averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists last year. So he can definitely help a contending team. Another team I think that should seriously look at him is Portland, the Trailblazers, because they've always been one guy away from just making a leap to get to the conference finals. I think they should take a look at signing him because he would definitely help Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum take a load off of them because they do so much for that team, and they're responsible for so much of that team scoring. If they sign Jimmy Butler, they'll
Now, are you saying sign next year or trade this year? Try to get him this year?
No, he's a free agent right now.
He's a free agent? Jimmy Butler's not a free agent right now.
He's not. Trade for him, I should.
Trade for him.
Yeah, trade for him.
Okay. You're going to say Jimmy Butler, he'll be a free agent next year.
Yeah, they should trade for him.
Okay.
They should trade for him. I think that he would be a solid
because we know that it's not going to work in the Minnesota's locker room
now.
So you're not going to get rid of your young pieces. You're not going to get rid of Towns. You're not going to you might get rid of Wiggins. But if Jimmy Butler's going to be the free agent, he's expensive. He's turning down contracts. I would
trade him. Get some value for him. Get some value for him. And lastly, last NBA free agent news: Jabari Parker signed a 2-year, $40 million deal with the Chicago Bulls back in his hometown, making $20 million a year. I think the second year is an option.
It's a team option.
It's a team option,
which is smart.
Yeah, because he has had 2 knee surgeries, 2 ACL tears for both injuries. But
Something Chicago knows about?
Yeah. But this was a guy, he also went to the same high school as Derrick Rose.
That's right, I did know that.
Yeah, so this guy, he was showing flashes of how good he could be in the 2016-2017 season where he was averaging 20 points per game and then through 51 games and then he got the knee injury obviously happened. But this guy, if he can make a full recovery, I think I still think he has a chance to be a solid NBA player. Maybe a perennial all-star. He has that talent.
Yeah.
But I think if those knees are fully recovered, I think this guy is a great benefit to the Bulls. They got a lot of young talent. The Bulls, they have a lot of young talent. This isn't the year for them. I think because they're just going to learn. They're going to still be learning. But I think this team is one of those up-and-coming teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs the next season, but I think this is one of those teams that we should we should keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, and even though he's had 2 ACL surgeries and he's been around a little bit, he's only 23 years old.
Only 23.
So there's still plenty of time for him to develop into. Well, we all know he can score, and that's what he'd be. He'd be an elite offensive player. We'll see what happens. It's a great signing for both. Again, I think this is a win-win because it sounds like a lot. 2 years, $40 million for a guy who's coming off 2 ACL surgeries. But there's a team option in the second year where they can get rid of him. Yeah. That makes that.
And if he shows signs, if he's showing flashes, he'll be due for a big payday. So good luck to him. Now, switching gears, we go out to the World Cup. Quickly talk about the World Cup.
Yeah, where's Steve?
Yeah, where is Steve?
He's usually do this. Steve's actually sick. Sorry, get well, Steve.
So France won the World Cup. The last time they won the World Cup was 1998. So 20 years after they beat Brazil in '98, they won the World Cup again. And I watched the first half, but then I had to go. But it was tied. It was tied.
Why would you?
I had to go.
You had to. What's more important than? I mean, you've been following the whole thing. How could you leave at the very end? I hope it was a wake or a funeral or girlfriend partner issue.
I had to go visit my cousin. So,
okay.
Relatives. But
I won't pry too much.
But the game. So when I was watching, it was a solid game. Croatia actually was outplaying them. They had possession. They were getting a lot of chances to make the goals, but France, whenever they just made the plays. Croatia couldn't make the plays when they had shots on goals, when they had the corner kicks. So France, hey, this was their World Cup, and we just saw it. They had a lot of young players. Mbappe became the second youngest player to score.
That name, Mbappe.
Yeah, he's from Cameroon.
Why is he playing on France?
His parents immigrated to France.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see how they do it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Was it because he was a great soccer player?
Probably escaping something from Cameroon. A lot of African parents, they just immigrate to Europe. Don't ask me. My family.
Well, I like his name, whatever it is.
Yeah, Mbappe.
Mbappe.
Yeah, so he's the second youngest to score a goal in the World Cup. Pele, he's 19.
19.
19 years old. This guy got a bright future. Also on immigration, the president.
Also on immigration. Oh, where
the
are we going
president
here?
had made a comment about immigration changing cultures when he was over there in Europe last week. In a negative way, he made it seem like immigration was negative. And 19 of the 23 players on the France team are children of African immigrants. Or children of immigrants, I should say.
So at least for sports, Mr. Trump, your argument doesn't hold up. And you're speaking, kind of the wrong audience there.
Yeah, so this just shows how, immigration is a benefit to certain countries. But
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody there is, whether you're born in France or you're an immigrant from France, you're still rooting for France.
Yeah, all right.
You know what I mean?
So, but, other thing we could talk about how France treats these immigrants that's for a different show. That's for a different show. We won't get into that. But congratulations to France. The 2022 World Cup is in Qatar.
Is it Qatar or Qatar? I've heard of
Qatar, Qatar.
I don't know.
There's a lot of human rights stuff going on over there.
Well, there's a lot of oil there.
Yeah.
And they actually were big owners in one of Al Gore's projects.
And it's
just very, very sketchy country over there, some of their business dealings.
And the weather reaches over 100.
Yeah.
So, good luck to that World Cup happening in 2022. Good luck to those players. So we are going to take a break, and we're going to talk about American football when we come back.
All right.
So we're going to take this quick break, and we're going to get NFL, our favorite subject.
You've always protected me. Every day of my life.
There you go.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm older now, but I still need you. Prescription pain pills, heroin. I know kids are getting addicted, and people are dying. Can you still protect me?
You can protect your teen. Teens who talk to their parents about opioids are less likely to misuse them. Find out what you can say.
Welcome to the Community Calendar. Here you can find out about fundraisers, festivals, and other events right here in the Lynn community. Check it out on lyntv.org and don't miss a thing.
Hello and welcome back to ATW. Now we're going to talk some NFL. We're going to start off with TO against the HOF Hall of Fame. Did you see how many different acronyms I just included in that intro? That was a lot. TO, Terrell Owens, HOF Hall of Fame.
Get your popcorn ready.
Go ahead. What do you think of this? This is TO being TO.
I've said that this is what I said when he made this announcement that he was skipping the Hall of Fame, and then when we found out, I said this is T.O. being T.O., taking the shine, making it all about him. And some people were like, oh, he's doing it for other reasons, maybe, or maybe it's because of all the NFL protests or the national. I was like, no, it's T.O. being T.O. And it's because T.O. is being T.O. He's still mad that he's not first ballot Hall of Fame. So since he's mad at the voters, he's gonna take his anger out on the Hall of Fame. But the Hall of Fame, what they did is they're not even going to acknowledge him, which is good. I don't blame them. Why acknowledge someone who isn't there? T.O., he's doing this thing at his college where he said friends and family and all the people that helped him get to that point where he is. All right, good for you. That's a good thing you're doing. But you could have brought them all to the Hall of Fame.
That's true. You could do it on a different day.
But you still could have brought them all to the Hall of Fame, have them watch you give your speech because this is what you play football for. But for you to say you're doing this it's a bigger reason why you're doing this. No, it's because you're mad that you didn't get first ballot Hall of Fame.
I mean, I think they came out and asked him, if you were first ballot, would you have gone? And he said yes.
Yeah, Eric Dickerson said he asked him.
He asked him. So it is yes. And now we can go into because we both know what he's doing is just drawing more attention to himself.
Yeah.
And he's spiteful and he's being T.O. And he's always been the biggest diva of the biggest diva position.
Yep.
Much like Pedro back there. But now we ask, should he have maybe been a first ballot Hall of Famer?
No.
Numbers-wise, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not all about the numbers. It's how you play the game. It's how you conduct yourself. It's how many suspensions you get. It's how many teams released you.
You got deactivated.
He got deactivated and released twice. So it's not just about the numbers. If you're going by the numbers, he's one of the top 2, 3 wide receivers. But that's not what it is. It's not the mathematical equations, you're the best Hall of Fame. It's a Hall of Fame. It's how you conduct yourself on and off the field as a player. That's why he's not first ballot.
And we all knew that the Hall of Fame voting, there's flaws to it, because the writers who vote, they hold grudges.
They do.
They hold grudges, and they take what you do off the field. They shouldn't, but they do. So you should have conducted yourself off the field, or even in the locker room in a proper way, because whenever we heard about locker room issues in any team that involved Terrell Owens, who was the center of it? It was Terrell Owens. Rather it be San Francisco, rather it be in Dallas, rather it be in Philadelphia. It was always T.O. was the guy center of it. And also the guy, we've seen him on the sidelines yelling at assistant coaches or yelling at teammates because he wasn't getting the ball thrown to him. We've seen everything played in a factor. So everything that's happened to T.O., it's T.O.'s own doing. I mean, hey, if he didn't have all those other stuff that happened, all those baggage, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
I mean, granted, Randy Moss, he had some baggage. He's first ballot, but he also had some baggage too. But Randy Moss, we never heard
not even anything close.
We never heard Randy Moss being a locker room distracting, or Randy Moss splitting up the team, or causing frictions between the team. Randy Moss. Granted, he wasn't the most likable receiver as well, because he too had some issues as well. But we've never heard of Randy Moss actually splitting up a locker room. We've heard T.O. split up 3 different locker rooms.
But I also think Randy Moss is a better wide receiver than Terrell is. I think the 2 best wide receivers are Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. I mean, Randy Moss and Jerry Rice, and then there's a few others who you can consider Terrell Owens amongst them.
Yeah.
But so he had those things going for him.
Yeah.
All right, LaShawn McCoy. What are we talking? What happened here now?
LaShawn McCoy. Oh, you skipped Brandon Cooks.
Oh, I skipped Brandon. Oh, I'm sorry, Brandon Cooks.
You saw it.
I forgot.
If you guys don't know, Brian despises Brandon Cooks after the season he had last year.
It wasn't a bad season. It just was not what I expected.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks, he signed a new contract. The Rams gave him a contract, 5 years, $80 million.
Oh, I remember that hit.
Yeah, that was just all terrible.
But where are you running? Where are you running?
This was the Rams' way. The Rams made all these offseason moves they've made just to get better. They made a lot of splashes in the offseason. Young quarterback, put him with the young receiver, because Cooks is only 24, I believe. So he is young, yeah. Yeah, so they got a speedster for him. So this is good for the Rams. Lock them down, so now you could have somebody Jared Goff could have a rapport with, and you also got Todd Gurley back there, so maybe this could start something. But I mean, I'm still not over that hurdle that he attempted in the Super Bowl.
I'm not over that either. But sure, fine, maybe sign the guy after you sign Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is not signed. Why are you having press conferences with Brandon Cooks, who has never put on a jersey, signing him? All of your negotiations should be towards Aaron Donald and paying Aaron Donald what he wants. That is my problem with this. He was disappointing last season. I don't like short receivers anymore, especially if you're a short outside receiver. If you're a short slot guy, that's okay. But when you're short and on the outside and you try to run horizontally, it just boggles my mind, that play.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a big fan of him, and I do think that they should have signed Aaron Donald first. 5 years, $80 million. That sounds about what he's worth. But yeah, whatever. That's the Rams.
Like, why? Did
Why?
you jump?
Yeah, I
Why
know.
did he try to hurdle that man?
Don't know.
Why?
Don't know.
Why?
Don't know.
A juke move?
He was much better. He was much better at drawing pass interference penalties.
A
than
simple
I think
juke move?
Anyway,
Anyway, let's move
I do
on.
want to watch it one more time.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh,
good.
let's move
Yeah,
on.
that's
DeMarco
good.
Murray, he retired.
Oh, I didn't see him on the rundown. But I did know that he retired.
He retired
Yes.
after 7 seasons. Quickly, what did you make of his career?
Well, it just says it says what happens with running backs. Running backs, they don't get paid for when they're in their prime.
Yeah.
They're in their prime when they're young, when they're like the Ezekiel Elliott's and those guys who just and the girlies who are young.
Yeah.
And then once it's time to renew their contract and for them to actually make money, their bodies are beat up.
Yeah.
So running backs get hurt the most, and I think it's like the second least paid position besides punters.
Yeah.
I think some even kickers make more than running backs overall. So it's kids, if you want to go play in a sport, don't be a running back anymore because your body gets beat up. And the way that the rookie contracts work, it is not in the running back's favor. And he had a great career. It's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but he had a few dominant seasons.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his body gave out on him.
Yeah, and also that Dallas Cowboys running back, he had his best season with them, 1,800 yards. That Dallas Cowboys offensive line, they helped him a lot that season.
Oh, that's true too.
So that's also helped. Also, I know Cam Chancellor retired. He retired.
Cam Chancellor did?
Yeah, he
No, I didn't see
retired.
that. Is that-
So the
that
Legion
must
of Boom is basically no more. I just wanted
It was
to add.
already no more.
Yeah, I just wanted that whole Seattle Seahawks thing, what could have been. We're gonna look back at them. It was like this could have been a nice dynasty, but they just screwed it all up. They screwed it up.
The only thing they have left is Russell Wilson.
And Earl Thomas, and
Earl
he's asking.
maybe not Earl Thomas.
Yeah, he might get traded because he wants a new contract or trade him. Other NFL news: NFL offseason drama continues. LaShawn McCoy. No, he hasn't done nothing. His ex-girlfriend is accusing him of sending some folks to her house where she was robbed and beaten, and she said he set them up. He set her up with them. McCoy this was in the home in Atlanta that he owns. McCoy is denying it. He was in Miami training as it all happens. So this is under investigation still.
Yeah, this is a weird 60-minute type story.
Yeah.
He was trying to get back some jewelry. First of all, definitely feel bad for the girlfriend or the ex-girlfriend. Nobody
ex-girlfriend.
deserves that. That's terrible. Whether he was involved or not, I have no idea.
Yeah, we don't know.
I think the jury's still out on that. I would hope that he's not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about his character. Has he had off the field issues before?
I read there was a domestic dispute in 2017 between the two, but then
he's a guy you don't really hear.
Then they've separated. They've been separated for a while. So I don't. Yeah, he's never really been in trouble. So this is an ongoing thing, and you just gotta wait and see what happens with this. But
Well, let's hope for the NFL's sake. And for everybody's sake, that he has nothing to do with this, because this is the last thing the NFL needs. Again, another story like this.
Right before training
violence
camp,
against
too.
women. Absolutely.
Now, another troubled player, Randy Gregory, has been reinstated by the league after his suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Gregory's been suspended 30 of 32 regular season games over the 2016 and 2017 seasons.
Wow.
He could have been a first-round pick, but he also there was some
Tested
red flags.
positive for marijuana, I think, right
before the draft.
Yeah.
So there have been some red flags. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be in that program that the NFL does with players who've been suspended for substance abuse. So this is fittingly it'd be with the Cowboys. The Cowboys, a team. If you look at their
Is he
history,
wearing Greg Hardy's number?
I think so.
What are you doing?
Yeah, who knows?
God.
Who knows? But the Cowboys, they've had a history with players and substance abuse. If you go back to the 90s with Nate Newton and Michael Irvin and all that.
Oh, Michael Irvin played pretty well with some substances
he played,
that he was taking.
But we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll get his act together and have a long career, because the guy has a lot of talent, but we'll see what happens.
And he's young too, right?
Yeah, he's young.
23, 24,
Yeah,
25,
very young,
something like that.
Some of these young players, they need to get it together. They got a whole life. They got to enjoy their life, not waste it.
I know. Josh Gordon, hey, he can come back and
he's
do a
changed.
Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon's
Yeah.
changed. I'm glad when they give people second chances. This is actually a third chance.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see that they give people like this chances when they're young to kind of go and improve and learn from
definitely. So The Cardinals GM, he got suspended for DUI after a July 4th stop where his blood alcohol content was 0.193.
That's high, right?
That's high. That's what you would call an extreme DUI.
Yeah, so he's getting jail time, I see.
Yeah, I think he's going to spend like 2 days.
Yeah, so I'm reading here, 30 days in jail, 21 suspended, and 5 weeks suspension from the team.
Yeah.
They really sent you to jail in Arizona for your first DUI?
Apparently, but I mean, I'm glad they did something about this because we've seen so many players. When it happens to players, the league harps on the players, and sometimes GMs don't get don't face the same consequences that the players do. I'm glad they suspended him 5 weeks. Yeah, maybe you could have suspended him a little longer, but this is a step in the right stone. What's wrong with a designated driver?
Yeah, Uber.
There's Uber. There's
Lyft.
apps. There's Uber, Lyft.
It's the easiest thing to do. I don't know why people drink and drive. Listen, people at home, don't drink and drive. Pedro, run the drinking and driving thing in between our next break. Let the people at home know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But, well, it's a tough break for him, but here's a lesson. Don't drink and drive. All right, now our Red Sox hot update. The Red Sox, the #1 team in the major leagues right now with a 68-30 record. They are on a roll. So, here's some stats for you. Mookie Betts leads the AL with a .359 batting average. JD Martinez, their free agent signing from this past offseason, he's third in the AL.
If you listen to Boston sports radio, they all blasted JD Martinez in that signing. I hate. If you listen to Felger and Maz about the Red Sox, you'll mind will go insane.
He also leads the league in major leagues with 29 home runs. So that's good. The Red Sox are doing their thing. Now, this is the thing I want to get to. The Red Sox have 9 Grand Slams this season. So the team record is 11, and the major league records is 14.
It's not even August yet.
Yeah, there's about 60-some-odd games left. They could break it. And throughout baseball, there's been 84 Grand Slams hit in the major league. So this is good.
This is a legitimate team.
This is a legitimate team, and the Yankees are 6 games back of them. So this is a good thing. They got All-Star breaks over. They're gonna come back to make that run. I don't know if Pedro could pull up my favorite Red Sox video of the fight that happened earlier. If you got that, can you please pull that up before we go on break?
Was it this season?
The one this past season.
Are we gonna talk about
this one right here?
Oh yeah,
my
this
favorite
is good.
One. There it goes.
This is real good. Walk us through it.
Boom.
Oh, boom. Did anybody even really land a clean punch? No clean shots.
Nothing like fighting in baseball.
No.
And then there's this one, my other favorite.
That was just sad. You can't go after
that one was funny.
Like that.
Before we go on break, before we go to Athletes Corner, we got to talk about Josh Hader.
Who I didn't hear about until... This guy's an all-star pitcher, and nobody heard about him until he started with racist and homophobic tweets. Shows you how relevant baseball is.
Yeah, so he had a series of tweets. They dug up a series of some tweets from him back 6, 7 years ago.
7 years ago. He was 17 at the time, but...
Yeah, so there was some racist, homophobic tweets in there, and, this was all revealed during the All-Star game, too. As the game was playing.
I hate to laugh, but the scenario is kind of funny. Nobody knows who this guy is. His parents are in the stadium wearing his jerseys. They had to go take off their jerseys and give them generic jerseys.
Yeah.
Because everybody was aware that this was going on, except him pitching on the mound.
Yeah, and I think there was a clip of some players in the dugout that had their phones out, and it looked like they just saw the tweets.
Oh yeah,
you could see their facial expression, and it looked like they just saw the tweets. And it's just like, man, this is the social media, and you need to watch what you tweet. Because it will get dug up. People will find it again. And the stuff he tweet, it's not endearing to a lot of people.
Or just don't be racist and homophobic in the first place.
If you want to be racist at your own time and keep it in your own home or whatever. But I mean,
now we've seen this before. We've seen this with.
He blamed it on rap music also.
Right. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo recently, Riley Cooper, I believe, happened before.
Yeah.
This was a different level. Some of his tweets were just a different level. I mean.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not huge on going back in the Twitter time machine, as some people saying, going back 10 something off years. He was 17 at the time. It was definitely crazy, definitely over the top. He has work to do. Hopefully he's a different person now. Hopefully he's going to use this as a platform and try to educate people and use this mistake to teach others. Hopefully he's going to make good over this. He was 17, but this was a different level of racism and sexism.
My thing is, like, when you reach a certain age, you should know better. Even
you should. Oh, absolutely. I'm not giving him
teenage years. You should know better.
Slack
you should
on
know
that.
better. And the blaming it on rap music is ridiculous.
Did he actually blame it on rap music?
He blamed it on rap music.
God.
Yeah, so we're going to go into Athletes Corner. We were on site at the Antonio Anderson Skills Academy at Lynn English High, so check that out. Athletes Corner, we're going to come back and we're going to try to finish this show with whatever we got left.
We look really short with this desk, I just realized. Huh.
Welcome to Antonio Anderson Skills Academy. The camp is running for it's the fourth year now. Me and Mackenzie Charles, we're doing it. It's been a great experience for us, giving back to the community of Lynn, teaching them the fundamentals and the basics of basketball, teaching them about characteristics and things of that nature, how to be a good teammate and things of that nature. But it's been awesome, man. I think every day the kids get in, it's hot this summer, so guys been getting a lot of sweat in, working hard. Everyone's getting after it, giving it their best shot. And that's the big thing I told everyone today, is regardless of how hard you think you're going, are you really pushing yourself to the limit?
I joined the Antonio Anderson camp because a friend told me about it and told me that I can get better at my game. So since I've been going, we work really hard, a lot of conditioning.
I started Antonio's camp since it first started. I think it really helped me develop as a player, ball handling, defense, all aspects of the game.
I think it's really fun because how we can all come together and we all have a common goal to get better.
Just teaching these kids how to work. The returning campers, they're actually helping us a lot because we don't have to talk as much. They're just giving them advice right off the top. So we're just making, they're allowing it to make it a smooth transition.
My favorite would obviously be shooting because shooting is what my best thing about basketball is, but dribbling I think is because we do a lot of it and that's where like something I need to strengthen.
I think I've really been doing very well in my defense, which is something I wanted to work on. Overall, the kids are very good, playing with a high school level. Super welcoming, kids I don't even know, like coming up to me, shaking my hand.
Simplicity is probably one of the hottest things about basketball once you improve on it and you go up to the higher level. So you just want to perfect on fingertips on the ball, keeping your head up, getting space, staying balanced, just basic principles of that. And then we can, I want to say, add on to that as we improve as basketball players.
Put positive thoughts in my head, and every time like they tell me something positive, like never to give up even though it's like hard or something, like that just sticks with me the whole like everywhere I go play basketball.
All the kids here, they're like, everyone's like friends to family around here. Like everyone helps each other, supports each other, we just make each other better.
We're all here for like a certain reason and like we're all trying to get better.
basketball is a universal sport. It doesn't matter what gender you are to play it, what color you are to play it. It doesn't matter. So we just try to have an open door policy for the city as a whole and for the campus here. We have a strong rule: no laughing at anybody, because nobody's D1 right now, and nobody has any coaches walking through the door to come watch them. So let's respect everybody's skill set and everybody's learning curve.
I recommend you come because from last year when I came in the summer to my basketball season this year, I improved a whole bunch. And I don't think without this camp I wouldn't be able to improve that much.
Today's word of the day is limit. We want to have everyone exceed the expectations of the basketball player and as an individual. So it's been awesome, man. I've been thrilled to be able to give back to Lynn and have this camp the last 4 years. So it's been awesome.
Hello, and we are back to After the Whistle. We have like 10 minutes left, and we got a lot to cover. I think we spent too much time talking about the NBA, but hey, that's where the big news is now. So do you want to talk, why don't you start us off with the British Open?
Yeah, so there's a British Open happening. That's all I can tell you.
That's it? That's all you got?
That's
all you researched?
That's
we
all
had over a week to prepare for this thing.
That's
like
all I got is the British Open.
So it's got a really cool name, Carnoustie. It's in Scotland. So this is the Open. This is the oldest golf major there is. You're sitting there giving a face like
that's the name.
Oh, so if Tiger Woods is going to win a major, it's going to be this major this weekend. He's starting right now. I mean, we're filming this on Thursday. We normally film it on Friday, so we don't have too much information about how he's doing for the first round. But I think he's doing pretty well. I don't know if you have your Tiger Watch up there, but his last. This is a links golf course for him, and he's never been good with his drivers. If he can just use his irons and be accurate and still get all the power, this is a course where he can win. I'm not going to say that he is going to win this major, but if there isn't, I'm not buying the whole Tiger's back, but if there is a chance for him to win a major, this is it, and it's right now. A couple other guys to keep note of.
Even par 71.
He's even?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty. I think the leader is at -5
yeah.
as of Thursday.
Keisner,
okay, so that's
Keisner, I believe his name is. Kisner.
Yeah. So a couple other guys to watch out for. Tommy Fleetwood, he's the guy. He actually holds the record at this course. And this is going to be a fun course to watch, too. I don't know if it's going to be as hard as the U.S. Open, where players are going to get upset, but it's a hard course to play. They actually call it Carnoustie. Okay. So there's a lot of bunkers, so maybe Phil Mickelson will, break something this time or something. So keep an eye out for Phil Mickelson doing something crazy. So Tommy Fleetwood's a guy to watch. We all watched him at the U.S. Open. He had a really nice final round there. A guy that I'm pulling for is the American Ricky Fowler, the best player in golf not to win a major. And he has to at some point. If it's not going to be here, maybe it's the PGA championship coming up next.
Good luck, Ricky.
It's coming. It's coming. He's really one of those likable guys. Ever since he cut his hair and stopped wearing so many bright colors, I started to like him. That's it. That's it for all you golf fan out there. There aren't many of you. Let's move on to
wrestling.
You want to go on to wrestling? Okay, so this is something else you like too. Why don't you introduce this one?
The Hulkamania has been reinstated after, how long was he?
3 years.
After a 3-year suspension for him outwardly admitting that he's racist and he doesn't want his daughter dating.
It technically wasn't outwardly.
Somebody
was
recorded him. Somebody recorded.
It would be a whole different level for him to just outwardly come out,
which was still hilarious,
and say, "Hello, everyone. I'm a racist. I'd like to hold a press conference." No, this wasn't that, but it was just as bad.
Which was hilarious. But are you surprised they let him back?
I am not surprised that they let him back in. I'm surprised they let him back in after 3 years.
Okay.
Everybody knew that he was going to come back into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be modern day wrestling without Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that it came back, that it's only been 3 years. I was thinking maybe 10 years, something like that. But I think this might have something to do with the push they're giving Bobby Lashley. It looks like he could be coming on pace to be the first African-American Universal Champion.
Okay.
Maybe they're trying to coincide with that. That's the only reason I can really think of why it would happen so soon.
Yeah.
And so they did not technically, there's no contract signed for him. They did recognize that he's in the Hall of Fame. They
wouldn't bring him back.
They have not brought him back yet. I don't think he's making any money off of any of this. Mixed response among the wrestlers. A lot of the African-American, everybody, even all the African-American wrestlers say, yes, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, fine. But what affiliation should he have, if any, is kind of a disagreement.
Yeah.
Mark Henry seems to be supportive and willing to work with him. The New Day is sort of ambivalent. It's kind of a wait and see. And Titus O'Neil, it appears like he's kind of against it. We'll see. There's more to come on this. He obviously has more work to do on the issue.
A lot of work to do. But, I mean, at this point, people already seen what we've heard your true feelings. So
of course.
It's just going to be awkward anyway. It's just being in a room with him. It's going to be awkward.
It always is. And he's been going out and he's been doing,
speaking
and engagements. And, I mean, that's everything you have to do that. Like, that's just what he has to do. So, I hope that this doesn't go into where they're going to give him a contract and he's going to, headline some main event. I don't think that's where this is going. Yeah. Hopefully this is just reinstating him rightfully in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I do think that signing him to a contract just is not right. He's proved his true colors.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan,
Let's let him fade away sometimes.
You got to fade away.
Yeah. And, also, one thing, I can't stand when WWE brings back the old wrestlers. The old wrestlers.
That's how they make their money.
Yeah, I don't want to see.
Ric Flair still wrestles.
Yeah, I
once
don't
want
to see people's grandfathers in the ring. It's just.
It is sad. A lot of the times it's because these wrestlers don't have that much money and they kind of need to come back.
Yeah,
Undertaker still wrestles every year.
Is he real?
Yes.
Last time I saw him, what's that? Roman Reigns. I saw the highlights from that. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, he
wrestled
bad again this year.
Yeah, he needs to stop.
He does. There's a lot of wrestlers that need to stop.
Quickly, Manny Pacquiao knocked out Matisse.
There you go. You said it right.
In the seventh round, was it seventh round?
Seventh round.
This past weekend, some people were surprised of this outcome. Were you?
I was surprised that I knew that he was going to win. I was surprised that he knocked him out in the seventh with 3 knockdowns. This did not look like vintage Manny Pacquiao, but this looked the same style, and he looked much better than he has in years.
Yeah.
Matisse he's past his prime too, and he's been up and down.
Yeah.
He is a heavy hitter. He's knocked out a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty big accomplishment. His first knockout in 9 years. Now it's where does Manny Pacquiao go from here?
He called out Floyd Mayweather.
He called out Floyd Mayweather. Everybody calls out Floyd Mayweather. If you're within like flyweight to light middleweight, you're going to call out Floyd Mayweather, or even middleweight. That's what you do. You try to get. He's not coming back.
Yeah, and nobody wants to see that again.
And nobody wants to see that again. No, that fight should have happened in 2008, 2009. Yeah. So what's next for Manny Pacquiao? I don't think he's going to fight any of the guys that would like kill him, like Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence. Yeah, I mean that's especially not going to be happening because those guys have different contracts. They're still with the Showtime Golden Boy, whatever.
Boxing.
The candidates, it's so political. People he's probably looking at is Amir Khan or Lomachenko at a catchweight fight, which would be interesting. But I really don't see him stepping in with the likes of Errol Spence, Garcia Thurman, or any of the or Porter. any of those top guys. I don't think he's there, but does he have time for maybe one big fight? Lomachenko versus Pacquiao? That would be more of a fair fight.
Yeah, we'll see.
Just because of size-wise, but we shall see.
We'll see what happens. And lastly, Elizabeth Cambridge. She set the record for most points in a game for WNBA with 53 points the other night against the New York Liberty. I saw the highlights, and she was doing her thing. Her previous career high was 37 points. Now, there have been only one other female have scored over 50 points, and that was Raquana Williams. She scored 51 points, and the other game highs in WNBA history: 48 points by Maya Moore and 47 points by Diana Taurasi. So this was.
She can even shoot the three.
Yeah,
ball. That's
a big body. She was on her game.
How tall is she?
I think like 6'6" or something. She might be a little taller. So congrats to her.
You know, we were just talking boxing and basketball, and we can mix the two again because there was just a celebrity basketball tournament. And Floyd Mayweather, did you see that?
Yeah, he got blocked.
His shot got blocked by a model.
Yeah, Brittany, her name's Brittany.
Brittany something. I don't know who she is.
She's actually pretty good in basketball.
Yeah, apparently,
Yeah,
but she's an Instagram model or something like that.
Yeah.
Floyd
She's on
Mayweather, who
MTV
thinks she's
too.
a great. Oh, she is.
Yeah, she does a lot of things.
So that's kind of embarrassing for Floyd Mayweather.
Well, it's almost time for us to go. But quickly before we go, Pedro, if you could run the video of the Lynn United FC, just some quick highlights. They sent us this video. These are some quick highlights from their season. Lynn United is the local soccer team here. The franchise here, they have the games at Manning Field, so there's some things they sent to us, so we're showing them, giving them some love. Lynn United. Check out their games if you can.
Yeah, support your local sports. Is this semi-pro?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Awesome.
Are we out? Do we do the outro?
Do I get my outro?
Anyway.
Do I get my outro?
Do the outro.
Yeah, so www.linntv.org. Check us out. Facebook, Twitter, check us out, Lynn TV. Come down to the studio. We got classes, August classes. Sign up. Movie night, come through. Brian won't be here next week. He'll be doing some. He's got some stuff.
Surgery.
Yeah.
Shoulder surgery. It's okay. I'm fine.
So he'll be. Technical difficulties is gonna keep him away for a week. So he won't be here next week, but I'll be here. Prima Donna Pedro will be here. Steve will be here. Whole crew will be here besides him. So you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.
Dude.